The starship Voyager's Needle glided through the dense clouds of DeathWorld, its descent engines humming a low, calming tune amidst the cacophony of thunder and alien wildlife calls. Dr. Zelnaga, a renowned medical researcher from the planet Gliza, watched the tumultuous landscape unfold beneath him. His mission was clear but daunting: to explore DeathWorld's untapped biological resources, potentially unlocking new medical breakthroughs. As the ship pierced the upper atmosphere, the cockpit was bathed in the eerie glow of the planet's twin suns setting below the horizon. Zelnaga's 4 luminous eyes absorbed every detail of the terrain. Jagged mountains, sprawling forests, and deep valleys all hinted at the planet's untold secrets. The thrill of discovery surged through his veins, tempered only by a well-informed apprehension of the dangers that awaited. The ship touched down on a flat expanse near the edge of a dense forest, the ground moist and teeming with life. The air was thick with humidity and buzzing insects, an orchestra of alien sounds filling the dusk air. Zelnaga donned his protective gear, a suit designed to shield him from DeathWorld's array of environmental hazards, from toxic spores to radiation spikes. Stepping out onto the spongy ground, Zelnaga initiated the first phase of his mission. He deployed a series of drones, programmed to create a perimeter around his landing site. These drones buzzed away, setting up a defensive grid that would deter some of the planet's less formidable creatures. He then activated his portable lab, a compact, highly sophisticated mobile unit that unfolded with a series of precise mechanical whirs. It was his field base, from where he would conduct experiments and gather data. Nightfall on DeathWorld was swift and total. Darkness enveloped the landscape, and with it came new sounds, more menacing than those of the day. Zelnaga observed through his visor as nocturnal predators began to prowl the peripheries of his lighted camp. His first test came sooner than expected. A large, shadowy figure approached the edge of the light, its eyes reflecting a sinister red gleam, fixed on him momentarily before the creature recoiled from the invisible barrier emitted by his drones. Zelnaga documented the encounter meticulously. Every detail could provide insight into the local fauna's behavior and biological makeup. He knew that understanding these creatures was not just key to his survival, but could also lead to medical breakthroughs. Inside his lab, Zelnaga prepared for a long night of work. He started with analyzing air and soil samples, setting up his equipment to automatically process and record data. As he worked, he remained vigilant, aware that his presence on DeathWorld was not welcome. Outside, the wild calls of the night grew into a symphony of threats and warnings. Thus began Dr. Zelnaga's tenure on the most dangerous planet in the known universe, a world where every shadow could conceal a new discovery or a deadly predator. But for Zelnaga, the promise of saving lives with new medicines was worth braving the perils of DeathWorld. As he settled into his routine, his heart was set on unraveling the mysteries of this fierce, beautiful planet. As the suns of DeathWorld dipped below the horizon, casting the land into a deep, oppressive darkness, Dr. Zelnaga settled into his makeshift laboratory. He was acutely aware that the night brought new dangers, but his scientific curiosity drove him to keep working. Even as the alien sounds of the nocturnal predators grew louder outside his protective barrier. The first few hours of darkness were spent analyzing the soil and air samples he had collected upon arrival. His equipment hummed and clicked, sorting and categorizing the elements and compounds, some of which hinted at biochemical potentials not yet cataloged in any galactic database. It was a promising start, but Zelnaga knew that much more was required to achieve his mission's goals. As he worked, the perimeter alarms of his camp began to sound intermittently, warnings of approaching life forms. The defensive grid he had set up, a combination of high-frequency sound barriers and motion-activated light systems, seemed to deter most of the smaller creatures. However, something much larger and more persistent lurked just beyond the edge of illumination. Its presence was announced by a deep growling that resonated through the ground and into Zelnaga's bones. Zelnaga paused his work to monitor the creature through the camp's surveillance system. The screens flickered as the outline of a massive quadrupedal beast became visible. It circled the camp, its form obscured by the darkness, probing for weaknesses in the camp's defenses. Zelnaga observed how it recoiled every time it touched the invisible barrier, its fur bristling with static energy. This interaction intrigued him. It was an immediate demonstration of how DeathWorld's fauna had adapted to the planet's unique environmental challenges. Realizing the importance of this encounter, Zelnaga began recording every detail of the creature's behavior. He noted its size, estimated its weight, and analyzed its movements for any patterns that might indicate intelligence or social behavior. The creature, though deterred by the defenses, did not seem to give up easily, suggesting a level of determination or perhaps desperation driven by the harsh living conditions of the planet. After several tense minutes, the beast let out a long, low howl that echoed into the night and retreated back into the darkness. Zelnaga breathed a sigh of relief, though he remained on high alert. He knew that understanding these creatures was crucial, not only for his research, but also for his survival. The rest of the night passed in a blur of data collection and vigilant monitoring of the camp's perimeters. Zelnaga collected samples of the nocturnal air, which appeared to be thicker and filled with different spores than during the day. His analysis revealed that some of these spores carried properties that could be synthesized into respiratory aids or even neurological enhancers. As dawn approached, and the first hints of light began to pierce the darkness, Dr. Zelnaga finally allowed himself a moment of rest. His first night on DeathWorld had been a profound learning experience, filled with both potential scientific breakthroughs and near-lethal encounters. He knew that each coming day and night would likely bring similar challenges and opportunities, and he was prepared to face them with all the curiosity and caution they required. With the first light of dawn casting a soft glow over the alien landscape, Dr. Zelnaga, fueled by the adrenaline of surviving his first night on DeathWorld, packed his field kit for a day of exploration. His objective was to locate and study the flora he had detected from orbit, a series of bright signatures indicative of potent biochemical activity. Moving through the dense underbrush, Zelnaga cataloged various plant species, using his handheld scanner to analyze their properties in real time. The forest was alive with the chirping of unknown creatures and the rustling of leaves, creating a soundtrack to his scientific endeavor. His attention, however, was focused on finding the source of the bright signatures he had seen from space. Midway through the morning, he stumbled upon a clearing where sunlight streamed through the canopy, illuminating a cluster of unusual glowing plants. Their leaves shimmered with a luminescent sheen, casting an ethereal light around them. Zelnaga approached cautiously, aware that such beauty on DeathWorld could easily be a facade for danger. Upon closer examination, he discovered that the plants emitted a gentle warmth and a faint harmonic vibration, a rare phenomenon indicating complex biological processes. Excited by the find, he began to carefully collect samples, noting the plant's defensive mechanisms. They released a mild, numbing toxin when touched. Using his medical training, Zelnaga synthesized a temporary antidote from his own medical supplies to counteract the effects. As he worked, his scanner revealed astonishing data. The plant contained several unknown compounds with potential regenerative properties that could revolutionize healing techniques across the galaxy. The implications were profound, possibly leading to treatments for degenerative diseases affecting his own species and others. However, his excitement was soon tempered by the arrival of a giant creature, the same type he had encountered at his camp the previous night. It approached the clearing, its eyes fixed on the plants. Zelnaga realized that these plants might be a food source, or perhaps something more significant to the creature. He quickly devised a plan. Using his understanding of the creature's behavior from the night before, he set up a diversion, deploying a small drone to the opposite side of the clearing to emit lights and sounds, mimicking his earlier presence. As the creature's attention was drawn away, Zelnaga hurriedly completed his sample collection. With the samples secured in his field kit, Zelnaga retreated to a safe distance to observe. The creature, seemingly satisfied after consuming some of the plants, soon left the area, allowing Zelnaga to ponder the ecological roles these plants played in sustaining the local wildlife. This insight, added another layer to his research, indicating the plant's potential as both medical marvels and key ecological resources. Returning to his camp, Dr. Zelnaga spent the remainder of the day analyzing the samples in more detail. His findings confirmed the regenerative properties he suspected, showcasing an ability to accelerate cellular repair and regeneration. This discovery, made on his first full day on the planet, fueled his resolve to continue his mission, despite the clear dangers surrounding him. Each plant, each creature he encountered, brought him closer to understanding the brutal, beautiful complexity of DeathWorld. The following morning, Dr. Zelnaga set out to further explore the depths of DeathWorld, armed with new data and a reinforced sense of caution. His destination was a network of caves indicated by his preliminary scans as a potential hotspot for unique mineral formations and possibly unknown life forms. These caves, located at the base of a steep, craggy hillside, promised a deviation from the biological focus of his prior explorations and an opportunity to study the planet's geology. As he approached the mouth of the cave, the air grew noticeably cooler, a welcome relief from the humid forest. The entrance was wide and dark, swallowing any light that dared penetrate its depths. Zelnaga activated the high luminescence mode on his suit's headlamp and stepped into the shadowy void, his footsteps echoing against the stone. The cave was initially easy to navigate, with a clear path that wound deeper into the earth. Stalactites and stalagmites bordered the path, forming natural archways that sparkled with mineral deposits. Zelnaga collected samples of these deposits, recording their luminescent properties, which suggested they were formed by bioluminescent bacteria, a potential resource for biotechnological applications. Deeper inside, the cave branched into multiple corridors. Zelnaga chose a path at random, marking his entry point with a small, biodegradable beacon. The further he ventured, the more complex the cave system appeared, with tunnels splitting and converging in a dizzying maze. The echoing of dripping water and the occasional distant screech of an unidentified creature served as a constant reminder of the unknown dangers lurking around him. Suddenly, a sharp increase in humidity was detected by his suit's sensors, and Zelnaga followed the change, theorizing the presence of an underground water source. This pursuit led him down a narrow, sloping passage that opened into a vast chamber filled with a network of crystal-clear pools. The water was rich with minerals and showed signs of unique chemical properties, possibly medicinal or otherwise scientifically valuable. Absorbed in his analysis, Zelnaga failed to notice the passage of time. When he finally checked his chronometer, he realized that hours had passed, and the route back was not as clear as he hoped. The cave had become a labyrinth, and he had neglected to mark his path adequately in his excitement. With a rising sense of urgency, he attempted to retrace his steps, but each turn seemed to lead further away from the entrance. As panic began to set in, Zelnaga forced himself to calm down and apply his scientific training to the problem. He set up a temporary research station right in the cave's chamber, analyzing the acoustic properties of the cave system. By sending out controlled sonic pulses and measuring their echoes, he managed to map out a rough layout of the tunnels. Using this improvised map, he navigated through the echoing halls, now marking his path more carefully with biodegradable beacons. After several tense hours, he finally glimpsed natural light, the entrance of the cave. Emerging into the daylight, Dr. Zelnaga was relieved yet exhilarated by his ordeal. He had discovered potentially groundbreaking resources, but also learned a harsh lesson in preparation and humility. The caves of DeathWorld, like everything else on the planet, were both a scientific treasure trove and a deadly maze, reminding him once again of the fine line between discovery and peril on this unforgiving world. After his harrowing experience in the caves, Dr. Zelnaga dedicated the next few days to meticulously preparing for each expedition, ensuring he had adequate supplies, backup communication devices, and more robust navigation markers. His brush with being lost underground had taught him the importance of caution, but it had also deepened his resolve to uncover the secrets of DeathWorld. On a clear morning, armed with new equipment and reinforced determination, Zelnaga ventured towards a different region, an expansive plain rumored to host a variety of insectoid species, according to the faint biosignatures picked up by his ship's scanners. These creatures were of particular interest due to their possible role in the ecosystem and their potential for biotechnological applications. As he approached the area, the scenery shifted from dense forest to open, grassy fields. The change in environment brought about a shift in the wildlife as well. The air was thick with the buzzing of insects, and the ground seemed alive with movement. Xel'Naga set up a mobile research station and began collecting samples of the insects using non-invasive traps and his handheld scanner. Suddenly, a small disturbance in the nearby grass grew into a massive upheaval. A swarm of large winged insects burst forth from the ground where they had been nesting. Xel'Naga was caught off guard by the sudden onslaught. The insects were aggressive, possibly provoked by his presence or the equipment's intrusion. As the swarm engulfed him, Xel'Naga felt the stings piercing through his suit. The venom injected by the insects induced severe pain and disorienting hallucinations. In a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, he managed to activate the emergency protocols on his suit, which emitted a high-frequency pulse designed to repel insectoid life forms. The swarm hesitated, then gradually dispersed, leaving Xel'Naga to collapse on the ground, weakened and in distress. Realizing the gravity of his condition, Xel'Naga crawled to his mobile lab, his vision blurring and his thoughts scattered by the venom's hallucinogenic effects. With his medical training, he knew he had to act quickly to synthesize an antidote, or at least a compound to counteract the symptoms. He scanned the venom sample he had managed to collect during the attack and cross-referenced it with his database of known antidotes. His equipment identified several local plants that contained compounds which could neutralize the venom's effects. Xel'Naga, with trembling hands, prepared a rudimentary extraction device and processed the plants. He administered the resulting concoction to himself, not entirely sure of the dosage, but aware that his options were limited. Within minutes, the pain began to subside and his mind cleared. The antidote was working, stabilizing his condition enough for him to make a detailed record of the incident. He noted every detail of the swarm's behavior, the effects of the venom, and the properties of the antidote. This encounter, while nearly lethal, provided invaluable data on the defensive mechanisms of local wildlife and opened up new possibilities for medical research. Dr. Xel'Naga spent the remainder of the day recovering and reflecting on the incident. He had survived yet another encounter on DeathWorld, each one teaching him more about the planet's dangers and wonders. His respect for the hostile yet fascinating ecosystem deepened, fueling his passion to continue his mission, more aware than ever of the fine balance between risk and discovery. Following his close encounter with the venomous swarm, Dr. Xel'Naga decided to focus on establishing a safer, more sustainable approach to exploring DeathWorld. He speculated that forming an alliance with any potential intelligent inhabitants could provide crucial insights into the local ecosystem and enhance his survival chances. Based on intermittent signals intercepted by his equipment, which suggested the presence of intelligent life forms, he set out to locate and hopefully communicate with them. Guided by the intermittent signals and his own intuition, Xel'Naga ventured towards a densely forested region, different from the areas he had previously explored. As he moved deeper into the forest, signs of intelligent life became more apparent. Structured pathways, intricate carvings on trees, and even primitive but effective traps that indicated a sophisticated understanding of engineering and environmental manipulation. Cautiously, Xel'Naga followed the pathways, taking care not to trigger any traps or appear threatening. His approach paid off when he encountered a group of indigenous beings. They were bipedal and covered in scales that shimmered in the dappled sunlight, blending perfectly with the forest surroundings. Their initial reaction was hostile. Bows were drawn, and sharp, pointed objects were aimed directly at him. Using his translator device, Xel'Naga introduced himself and explained his peaceful intentions and medical mission. The tension did not ease immediately. The beings communicated among themselves in hushed, clicking tones before one stepped forward. This individual, who appeared to be a leader, gestured for Xel'Naga to follow them into their village, a concealed network of structures built high in the treetops, ingeniously camouflaged against aerial and ground-level threats. In the village, Xel'Naga was introduced to the complexities of their society. He learned they were called the Arkwright, and they had a rich culture centered around the balance of their ecosystem. The Arkwright were initially wary of sharing their knowledge, but Xel'Naga's medical skills soon proved invaluable. A mysterious ailment had been affecting their population, one they had struggled to understand, let alone treat. Seeing an opportunity to both aid the Arkwright and further his mission, Xel'Naga offered to help. He examined the afflicted individuals and collected data, applying his advanced diagnostic tools. The ailment, he discovered, was caused by a parasite previously unknown to him, one that the Arkwright were exposed to through a recently introduced plant species in their diet. Xel'Naga worked diligently to develop a treatment, utilizing both his technology and the Arkwright's herbal knowledge. The collaboration proved fruitful, resulting in a cure that not only alleviated the immediate health crisis, but also cemented a bond of trust between him and the Arkwright. Grateful for his assistance, the Arkwright agreed to an alliance, sharing with Xel'Naga their extensive knowledge of DeathWorld's flora and fauna. In return, Xel'Naga shared insights from his own research, including environmental preservation techniques and medical advancements that could benefit the Arkwright in the long term. This partnership opened new avenues of exploration and understanding for Xel'Naga. With the Arkwright's guidance, he could now navigate DeathWorld with greater confidence and safety, diving deeper into its mysteries. Each day brought new discoveries, significantly aided by the insights and friendship of the Arkwright, proving that even on a planet as perilous as DeathWorld, cooperation and trust could lead to incredible advancements and mutual survival. With the alliance between Dr. Xel'Naga and the Arkwright solidified, the Arkwright elders decided to share information about a region they held in high reverence, the Sacred Grounds. According to their lore, this area was not only central to their cultural heritage, but also a nexus of powerful biological and geological phenomena. They believed the land itself was imbued with a life force that could either heal or destroy, depending on how it was approached. Xel'Naga was intrigued by the opportunity to study such a unique environment, and with the Arkwright's consent, preparations were made for him to visit the sacred grounds. Accompanied by Rai Nu, a knowledgeable Arkwright guide and biologist, Xel'Naga set out for what was considered the heart of DeathWorld. The journey to the sacred grounds was through terrain that was increasingly volatile. The closer they got, the more the flora seemed to pulsate with energy, colors more vibrant, and air tinged with an electric charge. Rai Nu explained that the sacred grounds were protected by natural barriers, thick vines that emitted a mild toxin and ground that would shift unpredictably. These characteristics had discouraged visitors and preserved the area's sanctity. Upon entering the sacred grounds, Xel'Naga felt a noticeable shift in the atmosphere. The air was thicker, almost palpable, filled with an energy that seemed to resonate with the core of his being. The ground was carpeted with bioluminescent moss that lit their path, and towering trees formed a canopy that danced with hues of green and blue. As they ventured deeper, Rai Nu led Xel'Naga to a clearing where the earth emitted a warm, humming vibration. Here the plants were not just alive, they were interactive, responding to their movements with gentle waves and ripples. Rai Nu warned him that the plants were sensitive to intentions, flourishing with respect and recoiling from disruption. Xel'Naga, respecting the Arkwright beliefs, conducted his research with minimal intrusion, using non-invasive scanners and taking only images and readings, avoiding physical samples. As he worked, he noticed that his own medical instruments were behaving erratically, their readings fluctuating wildly, as if affected by the strong electromagnetic fields generated by the area. The climax of their visit came when they reached a grove where the ground was scattered with crystals that seemed to store and amplify the area's energy. Rai Nu explained that these crystals were sacred to the Arkwright, used in healing ceremonies, and believed to possess profound psychic properties. Xel'Naga was allowed to study the crystals closely, and he hypothesized that they might be a physical manifestation of the planet's unique energy network, potentially useful in advanced healing technologies. However, as he conducted his studies, Xel'Naga started to experience visions, flashes of unfamiliar memories, and intense emotional bursts that were not his own. Rainu observed this with concern and advised that they leave sooner than planned. The sacred grounds were revealing their dual nature, offering knowledge but also demanding a psychological toll. Leaving the sacred grounds, Xel'Naga felt both enlightened and humbled. The experience had given him not only invaluable scientific data, but also a profound insight into the Arkwright culture and the spiritual dimensions of DeathWorld. It was a vivid reminder of the complex interplay between science and spirituality, pushing the boundaries of his understanding of what it meant to truly know a world. Refreshed by his profound experiences in the sacred grounds, Dr. Xel'Naga returned to his research with a renewed sense of purpose and vision. His time with the Arkwright and the insights gained from the planet's unique bioenergy had deepened his understanding of DeathWorld's complex ecosystem and its potential for revolutionary medical breakthroughs. Back at his base camp, Xel'Naga began synthesizing the data collected during his excursions, particularly focusing on the healing properties of the bioluminescent moss and the energy-infused crystals from the sacred grounds. His objective was clear: to develop a cure that not only addressed the physical ailments, but could also potentially harmonize the patient's bioenergy, a concept inspired by his encounters with the planet's energy fields. Using the advanced equipment in his lab, he isolated the active compounds in the moss and crystals, creating several prototype treatments. These were designed to interact with the body's own energy field, enhancing cellular regeneration and neurological functions. The process was meticulous, with each iteration of the drug being rigorously tested through simulations in his lab's biomimetic environments. As he was finalizing the most promising version of his new medicine, an urgent communication from the Arkwright interrupted his work. The message was stark. A sudden and violent outbreak of a new disease was sweeping through their population, likely brought on by a recent meteor shower that had introduced foreign pathogens into the atmosphere. Recognizing the severity of the situation, Xel'Naga rushed to the Arkwright village with his medical supplies and prototypes. Upon arrival, he found a grim scene. Many Arkwright were already severely affected, displaying symptoms he had never encountered before. He quickly set up a field hospital with the help of the Arkwright healers and began administering his newly developed treatments. The effects were beyond expectations. The drug not only alleviated the symptoms of the new disease but also appeared to strengthen the Arkwright's own immune responses. It was a testament to the power of combining traditional healing knowledge with advanced scientific research. However, his success was tested as the disease spread to a critical area of the Arkwright habitat, threatening their main food supply. If the crops failed, the Arkwright would face starvation. Xel'Naga realized that saving the Arkwright meant more than curing a disease. It meant ensuring their survival. Drawing upon every piece of knowledge he had gained from DeathWorld and the sacred grounds, Xel'Naga developed a biotreatment for the crops, enhancing their resistance to the pathogen. Working alongside the Arkwright, they treated the fields just as the first plants began to show signs of recovery. This dual victory, curing the disease and saving the crops, cemented Dr. Xel'Naga's status among the Arkwright not just as a friend, but as a vital ally. It also reinforced his belief in the potential of integrating different fields of knowledge, from alien plant biology to traditional healing practices. As he watched the Arkwright celebrate the recovery of their community and crops, Xel'Naga reflected on the broader implications of his work. He had not only developed a powerful new medical treatment, but had also helped forge a path toward a more integrated approach to science and medicine, one that could one day benefit countless worlds across the galaxy. The lessons learned on DeathWorld, though born from challenges and trials, had opened the door to a future where such integrations could flourish. After his transformative experiences and significant accomplishments on DeathWorld, Dr. Xel'Naga prepared for his journey back to Gliza. His mission had not only been a resounding success in terms of the scientific breakthroughs and medical advancements, but also in forging a deep, meaningful alliance with the Ark-Rai. As he packed up his equipment and documented his last set of data, he reflected on the journey that had profoundly changed his perspective on science, medicine, and intercultural relations. The day before his departure, the Ark-Rai organized a farewell ceremony in his honor. It was held in the village center, beneath the sprawling branches of their sacred trees, now in full bloom thanks to the bio-treatment he had helped develop. The air was filled with the luminescent particles from the trees, casting a gentle glow over the gathering. Elders and young Ark-Rai alike shared stories of how his work had impacted their lives, offering gifts crafted from the natural resources of DeathWorld, beautiful, intricate items imbued with the essence of their planet. Dr. Xel'Naga, deeply moved, shared his gratitude and promised to continue his work in the spirit of the partnership they had built. He spoke of the Ark-Rai in his closing remarks, emphasizing their courage and wisdom, and expressing hope that the alliance between Gliza and DeathWorld would flourish long into the future. On the morning of his departure, Rainu, his guide and friend, accompanied him to the launch site. They walked together through the lush forest, observing the vibrant life around them, a stark contrast to the perilous wilderness Xel'Naga had encountered upon his arrival. At the ship, they exchanged a final, heartfelt goodbye, with Rainu bestowing upon Xel'Naga a small crystal from the sacred grounds, a symbol of their enduring bond and shared experiences. As the Voyager's needle ascended into the sky, Dr. Xel'Naga watched DeathWorld shrink beneath him, its wild beauty etched into his memory. The journey back to Gliza was quiet and contemplative, with Xel'Naga spending long hours reviewing his research, compiling reports, and planning future collaborations with the Ark-Rai. Upon his return, Xel'Naga was greeted with acclaim and curiosity. His research findings sent ripples through the scientific community, challenging many established doctrines and opening up new areas of biomedical research. Universities and research institutions sought his expertise, eager to understand the complex biochemistries of DeathWorld and to explore the applications of his discoveries. In the weeks that followed, Dr. Xel'Naga organized a series of lectures and symposiums, sharing his insights and advocating for a more holistic approach to science, one that integrated respect for native wisdom with cutting-edge research. His stories from DeathWorld, particularly his interactions with the Ark-Rai and their environment, resonated widely, inspiring a new generation of researchers to consider not only what can be taken from nature, but also what must be preserved and cherished. Dr. Xel'Naga's adventure on DeathWorld had begun as a quest for scientific discovery, but ended as a profound journey of personal and professional growth. He had ventured into one of the most dangerous planets known to the galaxy, and returned with not only groundbreaking medical treatments, but also a new vision for the future of interstellar cooperation and ecological stewardship. As he looked up at the stars from his home on Gliza, pondering his next venture, Dr. Xel'Naga felt a deep connection to the vast, mysterious universe, a realm filled with endless possibilities for those brave enough to explore its depths.